All right, guys. All right. So trying a new software. And again, if you're new to this channel, my name is Fendi, and I talk Florida State football on this channel. And so trying out a new software just to see how this one works for me. And will be I would love to have your feedback and just kind of let me know how it's working for you, how's the sound going, how does the mic look, everything like that. Any tips that you guys can give me in terms of what kind of software and hardware would get the best results. I definitely would love to hear from you. But we're gonna go ahead and get started, man. It is rivalry weekend for us here at Faith Family Football. If you're a Knowles fan, if you're a Canes fan, welcome. Tonight we're definitely will still be welcoming the Canes fans, so don't worry. Canes fans that are in the live stream right now, jump on in. Um, so I'm looking at this software. I'm trying to see exactly where the chat is or anything like that. Um, Not quite sure, so we'll figure it out. However, let me go ahead and get started. Welcome to Faith Family Football, where we break down the biggest games with facts, film, and feel. Tonight, we're not necessarily going into the film, but we're going to talk about the stats. We're going to talk about the storylines. Tonight is the precursor to the big showdown between Florida State versus Miami. This is the 2025 edition. This episode is powered by CFL Pro Cleaning Solutions. That's right. CFL Pro Cleaning Solutions is proudly serving the greater Orlando area. If you have an office, if you're a business owner and you have an office, you need that office cleaned, call 407 906 3134 for your free consultation. CFL Pro Cleaning Solutions, your business cleaned right, day or night. All right, so let's get into it. Now, this rivalry flips narratives and it also flips recruiting boards. Both teams entered the season ranked, or enter the game ranked rather. Miami is number 3. They're ranked number 3. They're 4-0. And honestly, a lot of us thought they were going to be ranked number 2 coming into this game, but they did get surpassed on the rankings there. I'm not going to say by who. Florida State, however, is number 18 at a 3-1 record. All right. So if you win this one, whichever team wins controls not only the Florida headlines for the next few weeks, but they control their ACC leverage for really through the remainder of the season. When you think about what the ACC picture is looking like, excuse me, this game literally is more than likely going to determine one of the teams that gets to go and play for the ACC championship, if not both of the teams. All right. Other strong candidates for ACC championship right now. Obviously, we have Virginia, who we'll talk about briefly, who, I mean, they outlasted Florida State this past weekend. So all props to them. You also have Georgia Tech that's sitting out there doing well. A team that has been extremely disappointing this year is the Clemson Tigers. They've been extremely disappointing, but at the end of the day, that's the way the cookie crumbles. They got some things to figure out there in Death Valley. All right. As we know, this game that we play tomorrow, that we'll watch, I feel like we'll play in it, but we'll watch this game that's going to be played at Doak Campbell Stadium is more than just a game. It's a culture war. From wide right heartbreaks to dynasty clashes. Think of the 1990s. If you're a long-term or long-time FSU or Canes fan, you remember the 80s and you remember the 90s. And honestly, even down into the early 2000s, we had some great matchups for the Hurricanes and the Noles. Now we know as of late the teams have been a little bit topsy-turvy. They've been a little bit up and down. And the rivalry has not been what it used to be. But I feel like this year, both teams are really good. You have pretty good coaching staffs on both sides, and there's a lot on the table. Excuse me, I'm so tired. There's a lot on the table for these two teams. So we have family bragging rights, we have neighborhood pride, and who gets the loudest cheer essentially at Thanksgiving? Who's going to get cheered the loudest when they sit at that Thanksgiving table and they're talking about the season with their families and they have neighbors coming over and friends coming over? Um, there's a lot in this game. A lot of these players, as we know, they grew up playing with each other and against each other. So there's a lot of love in the rivalry, but that love on this day turns into hate. There's a lot of hate as well because you have young men who have competed against each other all their lives. And when I say hate, hate on the football field. And I hope that nobody takes any sort of hate off the field. It's just unnecessary. But I would say, we know this rivalry gets very intense. So let's talk about Miami. They're 4-0. Okay. They had a win of 27 to 24 versus number 6 Notre Dame at the time. They had a win against Bethune-Cookman, 45-3. They beat South Florida 49-12, and they beat a terrible UF team 26-7. Now, out of all of their opponents, I definitely would say you might agree that Notre Dame was their best competition. And I hope this is not shocking, but I personally don't think Notre Dame is even that good, right? They're still a ranked team, but I just feel like overall Notre Dame comes into the season almost every year super overrated, and they have a huge fan base. I think, don't get me wrong, and no disrespect to Notre Dame, don't come for me. Notre Dame is a good team, but they're never as good as people say they are or as good as they think. So every time they build up Notre Dame, kind of similar to UM, to be honest, um, they get towards the end of the season or somewhere in the middle and they unravel. And so I'm curious to see how Notre Dame finishes the season, but enough of that. So we have Miami coming into Doak Campbell Stadium October 4th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. You better get your popcorn ready because it promises to be hard hitting. This rivalry is always hard hitting. And as much as we hate UF, I've seen some of the hardest hits in this Miami game just because there's no fear of the opponent in this game. It's essentially, I'm going to come out there and I'm going to lay the wood. That's how the players tend to come into this game, and it's always great entertainment for us at home. Okay. When it comes to Miami, the approach that they have on offense and defense is that they want to impose their will. As much as, excuse me, as much as Mario Cristobal to me is not a great in-game coach, he has proven to be a great recruiter. I mean, I think bar none, he's one of the top 1 or 2 recruiters in the nation. I think he puts the Miami supports him in putting the money where his mouth is, and he's just proven to be a good recruiter ever since he's come to Miami. And I think the same was similar when he was over at Oregon. Um, he was an offensive lineman, so he understands about building the trenches, and that's where I feel like I wish Norvell had dedicated some more time to early in his tenure. I think he's starting to understand that a little bit now, but he didn't put enough into not only recruiting the trenches but also developing the trenches with the staffs that he's had, and it's cost him. Okay, a la our 2-10 season last year. So let's talk Knowles this time. The Knowles stunned Alabama in week 1, reminding everyone that there's still a brand that matters. But the Virginia loss showed this defense can bend, and not only can it bend, it can also break. So this game is going to be about redemption, proving for the Noles that the 2024 collapse is in their rear view. So let's talk about Virginia. The Noles went out to Virginia on a Friday night, and clearly, we're looking ahead to this Miami game. Excuse me. Man, I got to stop recording so late at night. Oh my gosh. I apologize, guys. So they went out there, they were flat, they did not execute well, and they took a loss 46-38. There was not a lot of positive on the defense, but the defense was hard hitting. Earl Little was still hitting. You had a couple guys still hitting. The D line left a lot to be desired in terms of their physicality, but overall, we didn't wrap up enough. We did come away with 2 or 3 picks, which were excellent. If we can do that tomorrow night, come away with 2 or 3 picks, we more than likely are going to win that game. Miami cannot score with FSU. FSU has to come out and establish the run, and not only establish the run, use the run to set up the big play. And I think if we do that, that's a recipe for success. If we play into Miami's hand, Miami, again, is built in the trenches. They have some flaws in other areas. I mean, their run game is very good, but it's not anything that scares you. It's not super explosive, but they will lean on you. They will try to get you to break, and they just literally try to wait around until you make a mistake. Knowles, we cannot be the team that makes the most mistakes or makes mistakes at all this game. The margin of error is going to be thin. We know that they've got us in the trenches. I'm waiting to see how Gus Malzahn schemes around your Mesidors and your Rueben Bains on the edge for Miami. I'm waiting to see how we come out with the misdirection. Do we run right at Rueben Bain? Do we scheme around him where we run away from him? Do we use misdirection to make him think just a half second or two longer than what he would like to, and then we pull off a big one? I don't know. Let's talk about the team stats real quick, right? Florida State the offense through 4 games has scored 53 points on average per game, 600 yards per game, and 336 rushing yards, which leaves 263.8 passing yards. That is a 58.8% third down efficiency for the Noles as well. Now, key players that we want to keep an eye on for the Noles: quarterback Tommy Castellanos, running back Gavin Sawchuk, and wide receiver Duce Robinson. Duce Robinson has 346 yards on the season and 3 touchdowns. Sawchuk 234 yards, but 6 touchdowns. And then Castellanos has 848 passing yards. So those guys will have a lot to say in the win, but those are the guys that we know. Those are the guys that have been, consistent and old reliable. If we know that, Miami knows it as well. And so who else is going to step up? Let me get some water real quick. Who else is going to step up for the Noles? Now, we've seen flashes from a bunch of guys, right? Getting a little parched here. We've seen flashes from a bunch of guys, man. One of my favorite guys, because I'm a former track guy, one of my favorite guys on this Noles team is Mekhi Danzey. He didn't have a great game last week against Virginia. He was so-so. I'm looking for him to have a big game against Miami. If he can break in the pass game, if he can get, 4, maybe 5 catches, 60 to 80 yards, I think that's going to be huge for what the Noles are going to do. And all I need him to do is break 1 end around, 1 reverse, right? So if he can do that easily, he can have 100 plus all-purpose yards for the game, which bodes well for the Noles. Now, a guy that I'm not sure if he's still injured, and I'm not sure if he's going to be able to, provide much of a spark for the Noles tomorrow is Squirrel White. Squirrel White against Alabama showed how dynamic he could be. We just need some consistency, and we need to make sure that he's healthy. So that's another guy we're looking for. Some of the young guys, Wayne McCoy, Javon Boggs, different guys like that are tight ends. Landon Thomas, we haven't used him much. We're looking for those guys to really get involved tomorrow and set the tone. Randy Pittman, he's my X factor in terms of physicality. If he brings the physicality, I think the rest of the team comes along with him. He was injured a little bit the past 2 games, so even though he had 3 touchdowns last week, I don't know if he was still 100%. Had a clutch catch in the end zone to send us into overtime last week. We're gonna need more of it. We're gonna need a whole lot more of it. Okay, so that's the guys I wanted to talk about. Our offensive line, just the entire line. We just got to be better. We got to protect Tommy Castellanos. We got to make sure that he has, at least 2.5 seconds in that pocket. Hopefully 3 seconds in that pocket to identify his reads if he has any. If he doesn't have reads, just give him a second to make the right play. And of course, he has reads in the run game, whether it's a run pass option, whatever the case may be. So, Castellanos is going to depend on that offensive line to really, really be explosive tomorrow and really just come out there and hold your own against a defensive line who many are saying is the best defensive line in the nation. From what many people have said is that Miami has the best, not only defensive line, but they have the best offensive line. They have the best trenches when you put it together in the nation. Now, before we played Alabama, we heard the exact same thing about Alabama. So I want to make sure that everybody keeps that same energy. Should FSU walk out there on Saturday night, 7:30 p.m., lay a smackdown on Miami, I don't want to hear, oh, Miami was overrated or, oh, Miami wasn't that good, because as soon as they beat Alabama, that was the conversation. Oh, Alabama's not that good. Oh, Georgia's going to annihilate Alabama. They're going to lose every game. Saban's not there anymore. And then lo and behold, Alabama has not lost a game since. And not only that, they've just finished beating the snot out of Georgia last week. And most people would say Georgia was one of the favorites in the SEC. Now they're saying Georgia's not that good because there's some FSU. I don't know why FSU hate is so strong in a lot of areas, whether it's in the media or whether it's just in college football altogether. A lot of people hate the Noles. I think it has a lot to do with the 80s and the 90s. When we rattled off maybe 15 top 5 finishes in a row. Yeah, I think that's probably why a lot of people hate FSU in the way that they do. But either way, FSU's offense is considered chaos with purpose. They're explosive, 11.6 yards per attempt. We run a downhill run game, but we will get you off your rocker. We will get you on your heels. We will get you thinking we're going right when we're going left, or we're running up the middle, but we're doing a reverse. Quarterback's going to keep it, except for he's throwing it for a 50-yard bomb, 60-yard bomb. I mean, FSU's offense, I don't see a way that Miami can shut down that offense. If we protect the ball and we don't allow self-inflicted wounds, I think the offense continues to roll. Now, Miami's offense through 4 games, they're 36 points per game, 450 yards per game, 180 of those are rushing, 270 of those are passing. They are 50% on third down. FSU eclipses them in all of those categories. When you talk about Carson Beck, He's 972 passing yards and 7 touchdowns on the season. Uh, Running back Mark Fletcher, 388 rush yards and 5 touchdowns. Malachi Tony, the freshman receiver, 268 receiving yards. Let's talk about this for a moment, right? Now, we all know that Beck was at Georgia, wasn't doing too hot. Um, One thing led to another. He ends up at Miami. Okay. He had a surgery on his arm, and I believe it was his throwing arm, whether it was his elbow, whatever the case may be. I really haven't cared up to this point enough to research it. I'm not a big Carson Beck fan, but I think he's a decent quarterback. If I had to choose, if I'm asking myself to choose which quarterback I would ride with in a game like this, I'm going to choose Tommy Castellanos 100% of the time. I don't see, like, Beck has always been surrounded in the years that I've seen him at Georgia and the years that I've seen him and this year that I've seen him in Miami, surrounded with top talent, surrounded with um, essentially, I don't want to call Mario a good coach, but he's a good coach. He's not a great coach, and he makes. I think where I don't like him as much is because in game coaching he leaves a lot to be desired. But as far as developing players, getting them ready to play, Cristobal's a good coach. Now, can Beck throw the ball downfield? That's the question. If he can throw the ball downfield, I think FSU is in trouble because FSU is more than likely going to have to sell out to stop the run. I don't think we can stop the run the way that we've been, coming out there with just our three, maybe four guys. I don't think we're going to stop the run with that. FSU's linebackers have to be better because this Miami offensive line, they open up gaping holes. They are not in a hurry to score. So they're good with 4 yards. If they can run 3 plays and get 4 yards each time, they're going to march 90 yards, getting 4 yards each play, which is going to be horrible for the FSU defense if we allow that. Honestly, if I was the coach, I'm coming out there first quarter. I want to see what my guys got. So, hey, we're going to play hard. We're going to play passionate. We're going to hit in a dominant way and in an impactful way. But if I look at it in the second quarter and my guys are just getting ran over, I'm going to call off the dog. So I'm going to play a little bit more passive. Excuse me. I'm going to pull back a little bit. Let's protect the middle of the field. Let's protect the deep ball at that point. And we'll let them run because that's what they want to do. We'll give them the short passes, let them get down the field. And then when they get to about that 30-yard line or so, that's when we put the clamps on. And why do I say that? It's simply because you don't want your defense to get worn down. That's Miami's MO. That's what they want to do. So if you're going to play them essentially like if it was basketball, a full court press from their 20, 25-yard line all the way down to your 20 and to your red zone, it's not gonna bode well for you or for FSU in this case. So we're gonna, for me, I'm gonna play everything tight that first quarter, even the first couple series, whatever, however long that takes. And if I don't feel like my guys are stopping them, which is no slight on FSU, I mean, we all have heard all week and really all season how good Miami's O-line is and how good their trenches are. So I don't think it would benefit us to allow them to wear us down over a course of a game. Hey, if they're going to score anyway, if they're going to drive it down the field anyway, let them. Get them to the red zone, let them get to the red zone, and then you put the clamps on. If you can hold them to a field goal, that's a win for you, right? Because they're bigger, they're stronger, all right? So if FSU plays inspired, right, there's a storyline here with you got the freshman Desir twins. You have Daryl Jackson, number 6, man. He's from Miami. He didn't like it there. He came to FSU. Now he has an opportunity to get some well-deserved revenge on his former team. I'm looking for him to have a monster game, and he can make, believe it or not, a huge difference. This is a guy that eats up blocks. He eats up three-man blocks. He three triple teams. He beats or he picks up double teams. Listen, FSU's D line, you guys have to eat. If there's one guy eating up three, that means there's only two offensive linemen left to be that can block you. There's no way that you're letting these guys just whoop you one on one. We have to do better in that. And if he's gonna eat up two guys or three, that means hey, if we send somebody on a blitz, we should make it home, right? And so these are the things that I'm looking at. Uh, as far as Miami goes, Mark Fletcher, he's running the ball pretty well. Nobody that's gonna scare you. He's not the guy that's really gonna. Now, not to say that he can't, but his MO has not really been, take it to the house, so to speak. But Lighty, I believe that's the guy's name, the young guy's name, who was the starting cornerback, who is, or excuse me, running back, who is maybe more of a take it to the house, a threat to take it to the house. He's available. Jojo Trader, receiver for them, he's available. We just don't know what kind of shape they're going to be in. Now, when it comes to their freshman receiver, Malachi Tony, I'm very confident FSU is going to shut him down. If you saw what they did to Ryan Williams in the first game against Alabama, once we hit him, the first hit that we took on that guy on Ryan Williams, he did not want to play the rest of the game. And I believe that hit came from Ashlyn Barker, who on the nose side, he was on the injury report. And I don't know if that guy's going to be available. If he's not available, that spells trouble for the Noles. He's one of your better guys in the secondary, right? So prayers up for him. Hopefully he'll be healthy enough to play in this game tomorrow. All right. So we know the Canes, they're going to try to come out balanced. They're going to try to be efficient. Beck, he's steady. He's more of a game manager, in my opinion. He will take off and run if he has to. So FSU cannot get in the habit of turning their back on Beck just because he runs predominantly like a pro style. He doesn't, he's more of a pocket passer. This guy, from what I've heard, can move. He's no Castellanos, but he can move. All right, Fletcher, they're going to try to use him as a hammer, and we be the nail. And we got to fight back against him, and we got to make sure we're physical and we wrap up. If we just try to arm tackle Fletcher, it's going to be a bad day. All right. Rueben Bain, we all know he's the leader of that team. He's the leader of that defense. His job is going to be to make us be uncomfortable, right? He talks trash. He's been talking trash online, which is okay, right? Because as long as, in my opinion, as long as that guy backs it up, no problem. I mean, Castellanos, our quarterback, talks a lot of trash, and I love it. As long as the guy backs it up. All right. So we talked about Carson Beck, expected difference maker. He's probably going to throw somewhere between 280 to 300 passing yards. You can expect from Beck 2 to 3 touchdowns. All right. So that puts them at about, he'll account for about 14 of their points. If we play really good on defense, that'll be it for him. So we talk about 14 points through the air. Fletcher, we think he can get a touchdown, right? He's good for a touchdown. We can expect him to get about 20 carries. We don't know about any other of the running backs, whether they're going to get us in terms of workload. We expect Fletcher to get a touchdown, okay? Now, Malachi Tony, I'm projecting him to get about 4 catches, man. I don't think he's going to have the same level of success against FSU as he's gotten all year, and it could prove me wrong, but I'm thinking he's going to be somewhere around 60 yards, okay? 60 yards. and that's being nice about it. I don't see a freshman running back. I'm misspeaking. A freshman receiver coming in and having that level of success against our defense. I think Tony White's going to be ready. Uh, Tony White was unprepared last week against Virginia. His team was unprepared, but I think you see a whole different FSU game, FSU game plan, and FSU execution plan. When it comes to Jojo Trader and Lyle is the other running back's name. We just don't know, but we know Rueben Bain's going to try his best to be disruptive. He's going to have probably about 8 to 10 tackles, um, maybe 2 tackles for loss. I'm hoping not. And those may be on handoffs to running backs. I don't see him getting more than 2 tackles for loss on Castellanos, unless Castellanos just basically gives it to him. Maybe he gives himself up, or maybe he slides. And I say Rueben Bain is good for 1 sack. Jojo Trader, if he's eligible, if he's not eligible, but if he's active tomorrow, I say he'll get about 3 to 5 catches, 40 to 60 yards. Right. All right. Let's talk about the team we all care about. I am so parched. All right. Our quarterback, Tommy Castellanos, he's listed as probable. He's going to play, guys. I think he's going to pass for somewhere around 300 passing yards. So not too far off from where Beck is going to pass. But Castellanos is going to account for 3 to 4 touchdowns. So I think he has 3 touchdowns in the air, and he rushes for 1. So that puts FSU, if he rushes for 1 and he throws for 3, that's already 4 touchdowns. And that's if we make our field goals, which we intend to, that puts us at 28. That's not counting our running backs yet. Sawchuk, we're gonna say he's gonna be somewhere between 80 to 100 yards. He'll account for 1 to 2 touchdowns himself. So that puts us at 28. Now we're talking 35 to 42 points between Sawchuk and Castellanos delivering to the receivers. Our number 1 receiver who has really stepped up this year so far is Duce Robinson. He'll go for 100 yards and a touchdown. If Miami comes out and tries to stop Duce, that's when the other young guys are going to go free, and that might be actually worse for Miami. As you can see, Duce went wild against Virginia, but because nobody else got off, I don't think any other receiver had more than 40 yards against Virginia. You're not going to really expect to win like that, but we still put up 35 points, which was crazy. And so I just think this offense is going to continue to score like that. On defense, Earl Little. I think he'll have about 6 to 8 tackles. He'll have an interception opportunity, but the guy I think that's going to come down with the interception is Jerry Wilson. I think Jerry Wilson is going to come away with an interception, and one other guy. I'm not sure, but I'm looking forward to 2 interceptions, and if we get 3, I'll be ecstatic, right? Rodell Williams, he's there for the blocking. He's there for his senior leadership, his physicality. Even if he only goes for about 40 to 50 yards tomorrow, his physicality is going to bring a lot to it. His ability to help recognize what the defense is doing and, protect the quarterback, give him that extra half a second I was talking about, is going to be huge. So he's definitely a game changer. I haven't talked about Chroma, Kazaya. I haven't talked about those guys, but all of them have opportunities to get some real playing time tomorrow. I think, however, Gus is going to have to find that running back with the hot hand and really let him get going and then sprinkle the other guys in. Because one thing that I don't want to see is because we're trying to get everyone involved in the run game, our run game never gets the opportunity to fully get going like it can. Our run game, I would imagine, will have over 200 yards against Miami. If I had to bet, if I was a betting man, I'd say that our run game, we're going to have over 250 rushing against Miami. But definitely around 200 is fair to get against this team. And again, Miami's just gonna have to. They're just gonna have to stop us. Now one thing I know they're gonna do is try to milk that clock. So anytime they can get a, you know, 8 minute drive, 9 minute drive, they're gonna go for that because they anytime they put the ball in Castellanos' hands, he's a threat to score, or one of our guys is a threat to score off any of the awesome plays that Malzahn draws up. So yeah. Um, so where's the game going to be won? Man, the game is going to be won in the trenches. Whoever's able to be successful in the trenches is going to win that game. That's how football is played out. Now, we've talked about how FSU can limit Miami's trenches with the explosives, the misdirection, and just taking a team that is really good, turning them into a just good team, right? They're a really good team. If we can make them just good or just okay, now we have a chance. Excuse me. Also, the matchup between the Miami cornerbacks versus Duce Robinson. Are they going to be able to limit his explosiveness, or are they going to be able to risk or excuse me, uh, which will risk momentum swings, right? So if they're not able to stop Duce Robinson, that gives us an opportunity. All right, especially if they can't stop him one on one and they got to roll coverage his way, which will be smart. If they got to put two guys over there, somebody's open somewhere, and we just got to find them. Quarterback composure. Who's going to be composed, man? Both of these guys are experienced. Beck is experienced in big time games. Castellanos hasn't had the big time games that Beck has had, but Castellanos is a dog, man. He's cold blooded, and I don't think he gets rattled. I mean, when you saw the plays that Castellanos made towards the end of that game on Friday against Virginia, yeah, he earned a lot of respect from me because the rest of the team did not come with him with the same attitude and the same energy, but he fought to the very end. So I think there will be more of the same this week. Um, when it comes to intangibles and X factors, it's turnovers, special teams, and the Doak Campbell crowd. I think the Noles are going to come out tomorrow night in full effect. They're going to make themselves heard. They're going to make themselves felt. The fans are going to be crazy. They're going to be lit. They're going to be loud. They're going to get there early. No matter what happens, they're going to stay in the game. I think that's going to be huge. Miami has struggled with field goal accuracy, while FSU's fans can add pressure in third and long, right? FSU's fans have to be loud tomorrow. All right. Coaching matters. If I have to choose, I'm choosing Norvell and his crew over Cristobal because Cristobal is not a great in-game coach. So I think Gus can out scheme Miami, and we can pull out this victory tomorrow, right? The key to victory, Miami is going to win if they rush for 150 plus yards. They get that, they're probably going to win. If Beck stays turnover free and they don't allow the explosives from FSU, they will win. FSU is going to win if Castellanos has at least 3 or 4 deep connections. And the turnover margin is +1. And Sawchuk or another back, whether it be Roydell, Sawchuk, or Chroma, or I mean, Keziah Holmes just looked really good last week. Either of those guys who gets hot, I say we stick with them. At least give them a quarter and see what they can do if they continue doing well. Um, I think if they establish the run, Florida State gets 200 yards rushing, I think we win that game. All right. Uh, it's possible. Okay, in the past history of this game, a lot of them have come close. When we talked about earlier, wide right, wide left, etc. Um, it's gonna be a dogfight, and I think if FSU comes out fast, they might it might not be such a fourth quarter battle, right? But if FSU comes out slow, I think this game goes 4 quarters, and whoever has the ball last is probably going to win. But we know that the FSU run game is super explosive, and passing at home is going to give us the edge because the crowd is going to be quiet when we're passing, when we're operating. So that's going to be a plus. Here's my pick. FSU 42, Miami 38. FSU 42, Miami 38. And I could see the game going both ways. I could see FSU losing this one. I could also see Miami getting blown out by FSU if FSU is able to come out and go fast, right? Like they did against Alabama. So those are my keys to the game. Don't forget, today's show is brought to you by CFL Pro Cleaning Solutions, serving the greater Orlando area. From offices to medical facilities to schools, they keep your space spotless. Call 407-906-3134. That's 407-906-3134. CFL Pro Cleaning Solutions, your business cleaned right day or night. We know this game is about bragging rights and it's about momentum for recruiting. And I didn't get into that much, but there's going to be probably over 100 top recruits there tomorrow night. FSU needs to go out there and impress. So who do you got? Leave predictions and MVP picks in the comments. This game, the players from this game are going to be remembered a decade from now, 2 decades from now. Who's going to stand up? Who's going to stand out? Who's going to leave an imprint on this rivalry? Thanks again to CFL Pro Cleaning Solutions Orlando, 407-906-3134 for powering this podcast. This is Faith Family Football. Keep faith first, family close, and never stop loving football. I'll see you next time.